Hi guys, welcome to my October DVD update. Just move my desk out of the way. Welcome to my DVD Blu-ray update. As I said, I've got Blu-rays, got DVDs. Haven't got loads, but I've got plenty of stuff. I'll try and make this a monthly thing, especially if I do get a lot of DVDs after the last update. Here I've got, it's pretty much all things I've gotten since the last update. But there's one kind of collection of DVDs that I forgot to show off in the last update that I did have, but I forgot to show. So I'll be showing off them. I'll try and make these updates monthly so I don't end up going like half a year without doing another update, and I'll have to do another overview because I've not done an update for a long time. So yeah, and I had to keep it. I have to get it cracking because I've only got like 19 minutes of time on the camera that I can do. So where should I start? Let's start with the one I had last time. All dropping DVDs all over the floor. Oh, it's alright, it's a really terrible one. But yeah, I'll talk about that when I get to it and the reason why I got it. So first up, I got 4 DVDs as part of a TV show. It was cheaper to get all 4 series separately than to get the box set. So yeah, I got Monty Python's Flying Circus series 1 to 4. I got these because at the time when I got them, it was a couple weeks before that Monty Python Live, the live show at the O2 Arena that was going to be broadcast on TV, and it was, and I loved it. It was great. So I wanted to get the DVDs and try and watch as much of the show as I could. I managed to get the first 2 series watched before the live thing. Since that, I've watched half of series 3 and I've given up. I'll go back to it, but Monty Python's Flying Circus, for those who don't know, is a sketch show all about Monty Python, the comedy group that were around in the late 60s to I think their last thing was in the early 80s. I think Meaning of Life, that was like 83, wasn't it? 82, 83, something like that. It was the early 80s, and then they hadn't really done anything fully together until their live show recently. And it wasn't even the complete gang because, of course, Graham Chapman, who was pretty much, they called him basically the serious man. He played like Brian in Life of Brian and King Arthur and Holy Grail and stuff. He, of course, died. But it was still great, still really, really funny to see. And, of course, they did still do the Graham Chapman sketches, but they had other people fill in, like I think one of them, it may have been I think they had Terry Gilliam for a couple of them. I know they did replace him for most of the sketches, but yeah, it was still great, and I wanted to watch it all, and I still love this show. It's one of my all-time favourite shows. The problem with Monty Python's Flying Circus is that when the sketches are bad, they're really bad. It can be very hit or miss at times. Like series 3, I remember when they showed on Paramount Comedy, it was called in the UK, now it's Comedy Central, of course. They repeated it when I was like maybe about 11 or 12. They showed all 4 series, and I used to just watch it every day. They showed like 2 or 3 episodes a night, so I used to watch it, and I think I pretty much watched most of the episodes. And there was one in particular that I remembered hating. It was one where the entire episode is just one sketch, basically. It's about a guy who's travelling, and all this different stuff happens to him, and at the end he's about to be executed and stuff. And I remember really hating that episode, so when I was going back to it, I was kind of dreading it, but I was like, well, maybe it could be good. Nope, just as bad as I remembered. It's got really, really funny moments, but it's just a really slow episode when it's not funny. So, yeah, the sketches when they go on way too long are really the bad episodes. If the sketch goes on for more than like 3 or 4 minutes, then I get really bored. But, Monty Python, they're at their best when it's fast-paced and insane, basically, and when they're pushing the boundaries, it was their best. So like there was one sketch I remember that was really funny where literally at the end John Cleese just goes, "This sketch is getting rather too silly," and then I can't remember who else it was, someone else just said, "Should we just end it?" And then John Cleese just said, "Alright," and then they just leave, and that was the end of the sketch. I mean, things like that, it's just really funny, and it proves that the show was original, And yeah, all 4 series, great show. 2 of these have slip covers. One of them, I'm not even sure this is a British DVD, because yeah, it has no age rating anywhere. Not even on the discs does it have an age rating. It says Region 2 and Region 5, so it might come from a different country, or maybe this was just a smaller release that they did a few years ago. I don't know. It says the layout and design was from London, so I don't know, but yeah, and then all 3 of these are basically the same thing, and because I bought them used, I think just the 4th one they took the slipcover off when they sold it or something, but yeah, great show. Let's go to the one I just dropped on the floor, because why the fuck not. I've reviewed these films. It's I got these for the horror movie series reviews. Originally I was going to get the first 2 in a box set, but they cancelled the order because the condition of it was really bad, because I buy all my DVDs used on Amazon and stuff, so yeah, so then I just had to buy the first 2 films separately, because they'd already sent the 3rd one, and if you see my review of the 3rd one, you'll see why I don't want to own the 3rd one by itself. I hadn't seen it at the time, but I knew it was going to be bad. I'm talking about the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies. I got the 1st one, the 2nd one, and the 3rd one. I like the 1st one. Didn't like the sequels at all. Yeah, as I said, I've got the reviews on my channel, so you can go check them out on the channel. I did them for the horror season this year, for what I'm doing on my series reviews, just getting them all out of the way. Right, where should I go? Let's just go with this one. This is a film that, it's a sequel to one of my all-time favourite films, and I've never owned the sequel, which is weird, because I've always really liked the sequel. I've always thought the sequel was underrated, almost just as good as the original, maybe even just as good. It's more comedic than the original, but it's still great. It's Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Yeah, is there a disc? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've owned the 1st one for years, but I've never owned the 2nd one. I've seen it loads of times. I haven't seen it as many times as the original, but I've seen it quite a few times, and I've always loved it. For those who don't know, Gremlins is where the name of my channel, GizmoCh, comes from, of course. Gremlins is all about, I've got the 1st one over here. So I was doing a list, a film list for Hollywood Beatdown this month, and Gremlins is one of the films on the list. So yeah, that's Gizmo there. So yeah, and I've always loved the 1st one. It's always been one of my favourite films, and I think I just thought of Gizmo from my name, GizmoCh. It was originally a name on RuneScape. I used it to create my RuneScape account, and when I created my YouTube account I thought, let's just use that RuneScape name, and it's just stuck, I guess. So yeah, Gremlins 2, it's definitely more of a comedy than the original, but the original was funny, but this one's even more funny. It's kind of a parody of the fact that it's a sequel, and it knows it cannot outdo itself, so it just, yeah, it kind of makes fun of the fact that it's a sequel and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know why so many people hated this film. I mean, how can you take it seriously? The film literally opens up with a Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck cartoon. I mean, come on. So yeah, and it's just really funny. I mean, there's things like the film breaks up halfway through and you see Hulk Hogan in the cinema shouting at the Gremlins to turn the film back on. It's just incredibly silly and just insane. I've always been a big fan of it, and I always wanted to see a Gremlins 3, but yeah, honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to the remake just because we'll get to see Gremlins again. Hope it's good. Again, I have no idea. I don't know why I say again. that time limit on the camera is really annoying. I realised I turned the sound off on the camera and it cut out, and I kept talking and I didn't realise, but luckily I put the Gremlins 2 DVD down, went to get the other films, and I was just saying, okay, here's what I started talking about the backstory of getting it, and I was like, wait a second, how long have I got left? And I realised the camera had stopped recording like a minute or two ago, so luckily I didn't record the rest of the video and go, you know what, it's going on quite a bit. Has it gone over the 9 minutes or so? But yeah. Next up, we've got 2 films. I got the original in the last update, and it's a part of a special limited edition series where the films were famously altered. They released them in the cinema, altered with some CGI additions, and they released them in a limited edition DVD collection that is the original theatrical versions. I had the first one last update, and in the same place I got that, must have been a couple months after I got that, I went back in and they had the other 2 films for £5 each. The first one I think was £3. Second 2 I paid £5 each for. So I got the limited edition versions of Star Wars Episode 5 and 6. I love Star Wars. It's always been probably my all-time favourite film saga or film series. I liked the prequels for what they were. Didn't like Episode 2 at all, but Episode 1 has its moments. It's bad. I understand that it's bad, but I enjoy it. Mainly for nostalgia, because I watched it when I was little. It was like one of the first films I watched along with the original trilogy. And I've always loved Episode 3. I don't care what anyone says about Episode 3. I think it's a fantastic film. But yeah, the original trilogy is the best. Episode 5's probably the best of the series. And Episode 6, honestly, I think Episode 6 is closely after. I was never a fan of Episode 6 as a kid, and I watched it last year again for like the first time in a few years, and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. Minus the Ewoks, of course. They're probably the worst thing about the original trilogy. They're like the Jar Jar Binks of the original trilogy. But yeah, of course there was the limited edition versions, which I've got. I've got the Episode 4 and Episode 5 and 6, which are the original theatrical versions, unaltered. Yeah. The special features, there's none. There is no extras, but yeah, at least I've got the films now. I have been meaning to get the Blu-ray set, but I wanted to get the original theatrical versions before I got the Blu-ray set, so I'll get it eventually. Or I may wait and see if Disney do in fact do the thing that we expect them to do, or we're hoping they will do, where they release the original. My hair's weird. For some reason my hair just feels really weird today. But yeah. Hopefully Disney are going to release all 6 films without any of the changes or anything, so I think they probably will. The problem is I think 20th Century Fox will always own Episode 4, so they'll probably have to negotiate, but I know the rights for the other 5 films do go over to Disney in 2016, so maybe in a few years we'll see the original unaltered versions on Blu-ray, but for the moment we've got the DVDs. I mean, yeah, the quality's not great. They're in 4:3 aspect ratio, and there's no extras on the DVDs, but whatever. Well, actually no, that's a lie. You do get a demo of Lego Star Wars 2 on the PC, which is really good for me, despite the fact I've already got 3 copies of it. Got it on PlayStation 2, and now I've got it on Xbox twice, because I've got the normal version and the complete saga. But yeah, I'm talking about Xbox 360, not Xbox original. But yeah. Star Wars Episode 5 and 6. Time. Okay, I've got 5 minutes. I'm going to have to really be quick for these last ones. Let's talk about the 2 box sets I've got. One of them I'll literally talk for 2 seconds about because I don't know much about it. But yeah, here's a really good one. The quality of the packaging isn't great because I got it used, and I think it's supposed to be in very good condition, and it's not very good condition. The discs are great, but the box is not. But yeah, I think this is limited. It's got a number on the back, so it must have been limited, but it's been expensive for years. Then I saw it cheap, and I was like, I'll get it. It's the Evil Dead trilogy. It's the Anchor Bay set with all 3 films, and the original version of the original movie, the 4:3 version that wasn't cropped down or anything, just the original version that they shot. And then they shot it in 4:3 aspect ratio, and then they cut it down to 16:9 for the theatrical edition. Yeah, I don't really like watching the 4:3 one. I've never watched. I started watching it, I was like, no, I don't want to watch this. So yeah, but I love the Evil Dead movies. They're great. I love all 3 of them. And I even like the remake quite a bit, which I do not have, but I will be getting sometime in the future. But yeah, this has got some great special features on there, and I also want to get the Blu-ray set because I've heard that's really good as well, so yeah. Okay, next up, here's the other box set. Yeah, I really have nothing to say about this because I got this for a couple reasons. One, everyone's been going on about this show for years, about how amazing it is. And two, I did actually watch an episode or two when it was first on. I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, I hadn't got around to watching any of the rest of it. So I thought finally it was like £15. So I was like, whatever. It's Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete collection, all 3 series. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to watching this. I want to finish Full Metal Alchemist first, which I've almost done. I'm quite proud of myself. I'm like 42. I think I'm episode 42 or 3. I know the theme song's now changed for like the 3rd or 4th time. Yeah, it just changed like an episode. It changed this episode, the episode I just watched earlier today. So I think it's episode 42. So yeah. And it was quite a sad episode. Someone died. I mean, it was heartbreaking, but yeah, enough of me talking about that show. It's great, by the way. I'm glad I stopped doing the vlog so I could watch all the episodes properly instead of having to wait a day or two before I can do them. And then saying I'll be back tomorrow and then ending up waiting 2 weeks. But yep, heard this is great. I'll wait till I finish Full Metal Alchemist and probably Brotherhood as well. And then I'll get right on to watching this show and I'll binge watch it over like a couple weeks. So yeah. And finally we got 3 Blu-rays. I'll talk very briefly about these. One of them, it's going to be hard for me to talk briefly about, so I'm literally going to say almost nothing about it because I do actually really want to do a review of this film. So I'll talk about that last. So first I got the Simpsons movie. Literally got this yesterday. Loved The Simpsons, my favourite TV show of all time. And I thought the movie was great. I saw it in the cinema. It was the last film I saw in our local cinema before it got shut down and demolished, which is a shame because now I actually have to either walk or take a train to get down to the cinema. We do have 2 nearby, one I walk to, one I go to train by, but yeah, it wasn't as easy as going to just walking down the street. And then it was cheap, it was like £3 or £4 a ticket, so yeah, this was like the last film I saw there. Always been a big fan of this film, and yeah, don't have any of Simpsons on Blu-ray, so I thought I should probably get it. And it was £2, so why the hell not? And next up we have a horror film, which I'm going to be doing on horror season next year. I'll review. By that time the entire trilogy will be out, because there's a 3rd film coming out in May next year. Talking about Insidious. Loved this film. Great horror film. I rented it from Love Film, and then it was so great I literally went out and bought it the next day. Yeah, really creepy, well done, different, unique, and fucking terrifying. The sequel was actually really good. I watched it on Netflix. The sequel was actually really good as well. I know a lot of people have been really mixed about it. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people say it's okay. I really liked the sequel. I thought it wasn't as good as the original, but it really did tie up the 2 films really well. And I cannot wait for the 3rd film. I'm going to see that in the cinema and everything. Finally, we got one of my all-time favourite films. I've read the book recently, the book it was based on, and the book is probably the best book I've ever read. It's just amazing. This is a fantastic, beautiful movie. One of my favourites. I'm cut out, but I've got a couple minutes left, so yeah, I'll be quick. Yeah, I'll never get bored of this film. It's a kind of a funny story starring Zach Galifianakis, Kier Gilchrist, and Emma Roberts. It's a film about a teenager who goes into a mental or a psychiatric ward because he's feeling suicidal, and it's all about the relationships he makes, all the things, him coming to terms with who he is as a person. It's a great film. Book's slightly better. In fact, the book's quite a bit better, but yeah, the book's actually like, the film is literally just half the book, literally. I think about 40-50% into the book is where the film starts, so yeah, but it's still great adaptation. They don't really change that much around, as much as you'd think. They do change stuff around, but it's not as much as you'd think, and the changes are pretty good, but yeah, I prefer the book. It's just, book's much better. It's kind of a funny story. Love it. Talk about it sometime. I want to do like a book/film, book versus film sort of thing, which I may do sometime in the future. I don't know, but I do want to review that film anyway. So that's my DVDs for this month. Yeah, I'm gonna go now because the camera's gonna cut out in a second. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon for another video.